Yeah, wafer treats.
Ooh, wafer treats. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frostside Chat, our weekly live stream post-session discussion where we talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 33, so if you have not seen that session yet, please definitely go watch that first, because there will
That
be
session.
lots of spoilers. I'm your DM, Eric, and joining me we have Vol Robbins, player Chris.
Hello.
And Edmund / Darth's player, Raymond.
Hello.
The reign of Dearth finally reaching an end.
Mm-hmm.
Holy guacamole. For some reason, this session felt harder to run than last session's.
Really?
Yeah, even though you guys were like three-way split. I guess because it was just one big, long combat fight the entire time. So I found it a little trickier to be like, all right, this round we do this fight, now this round we do that fight. And because there was a lot more... The throne room fight was a straight-up fight, but y'all's fight was like anything but, because you were trying to do other objective stuff, which was fun. Yeah. But it adds more complexity for me to have to keep track of things. And I realized that very quickly with Thimbleweed doing the, okay, I'm going to go to the elevator, and then I'm going to do all this like 3D stuff that we have to keep in Theater of the Mind. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to do this while keeping track of everything that's going on in the throne room and everything else.
Yeah, I think last time, like, at least my part was mostly narrative, I think.
That's true. You weren't.
You're right. You didn't have any combat. Yeah. Yeah, and this, I kind of planned on this being, okay, this is one of those big, just session-long combat encounters, because it's just kind of the boss fight, the final boss fight of Sunblight. Man, it was rough for you guys, too.
Yeah, where do you want to start, man? There's a lot.
There was a lot of on-the-fly stuff I had to do. There was a lot of just non-optimal playing I had to do just to make it so it wasn't a just horrifying TPK. Because God,
I said this prior between the sessions, or between the session and now. But I could tell you were literally doing everything in your power for us not to just all die right there and then. Like, you were giving us every out you could possibly give us, and we just couldn't fucking do it. We just couldn't do it.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I was playing around with Zardarok's hit points, because I'm like, all right, he's got as many hit points as he needs to, basically, for this. So he doesn't just die immediately, but he, sticks around for a while.
Okay. I must say, didn't he have a lot of damage from last session?
He did, but he did his little second stage boss fight thing, which I explained, where he sucked up Enter Chardalyn from the throne, and he got all these new stats and stuff, and that's what I kind of played it as, like, oh, this is like the second stage fight. And then fucking Fran's, I guess it was really just Frey, I don't remember. Oh yeah, Celeste, I think, got up and did a crit on him, didn't she? I know Frey did.
They got up and attack him.
Yeah, and just beat the shit out of him in like 2 rounds, to where they did like 60 or like some insane damage to him. So I was like, holy crap. So I was like, oh, they're actually gonna like kick ass here. But the weird thing is, they kicked ass against him and took him out of the picture pretty early, and then everything else just gave fits. Like all those stupid, which the Quagga Spore Servants have the exact same stats as I am still a little congested, sorry. I'm still getting over this, by the way. Yeah, I didn't do my Monday stream because I was so fucking congested and nasty, and still getting over it now. The Quaggas the Spore Servants have the same stats, the same attack rolls and everything as the Quaggas you guys fought, was it 2 sessions ago with the Forge battle, basically, and they didn't do shit in that battle.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. They couldn't hit anything. And now all of a sudden, these things literally hit Celeste every single time. And I was looking
at one point where, like, no less than like the last 8 attacks you made, none of them were under 20. And the last like 6 or 7 attacks we made, none of them were over 8.
Yeah.
Like, it was like everybody was just, the rolls were just so disparate.
It was crazy. Like, I don't think I've ever seen it to where it was that stacked against you guys in a fight. And the scary thing was, there was a razor's edge on how this fight, because it was a split party. You didn't have Thimbleweed or Volrobin here, basically.
Yeah.
They had some allies, and I thought that would help switch things out. I was like, all right, well, they've only got 3 of them, but, Edmund's going to come in with 4 Dwergar allies. And this was a tricky thing, because usually I like to montage the NPCs, but I'm like, well, he's going to be commanding them, so maybe it'll be cool where you can do things against them. And But holy shit, that did not end up panning out because they had the same sucky roll as you guys did.
Mm-hmm.
And those fucking spore servants just went to town on everybody. Now, you threw the Chardalyn thing at Nildar, which basically took him out of the fight. I had him not even attack. He just tried to roll strengths. And then eventually I was like, all right, he's not going to do anything. Thankfully, you finally got the idea to throw the one at the big Quaggoth guy because he was a big problem and just destroy. Which that was another good thing is all those Dwerger allies. They're also meat shields in front of you,
Right.
so they were just carving them up. Yeah. But the
I
Quaggoth,
wasn't really paying attention to him until he got like the. I guess I was trying to do all the other things. I didn't really think about like capacity.
What he was going to be doing. Yeah.
which he just has the same stats as a Quaggoth, but he's got some extra spells. Namely, he can enlarge, which he did, and cast mirror image, which he did. And then when he's enlarged, he does that extra damage. And I gave him more hit points because he's like named Quaggoth. But he kind of ended up being the weirdly like, the weird thing is, I kept thinking about the trajectory of this fight. Like, all right, you've beaten Zardarok, but you took him out so early that I don't want to just end the fight with you taking out Zardarok. So that felt weird. Like, well, Nildar's still there, but Nildar's not really doing anything. So the weird thing was there's a bunch of these zombie plants, and then this one big Quaggoth, who's just kind of this monster guy, ends up being like the big fight that's just killing you guys. I'm like, oh, this is weird because you've taken out the boss, but you still might lose this fight.
I'll be very honest. I don't know if frustrated is the right word, but I'm just like, God damn it, why isn't Valravn in this scenario? Because I kept being like, why is nobody fucking talking to the fungus monster in the back of the room that could like pull off all the other fungus monsters?
Yes.
Like that's like
no, I tried to engage with the players, like talk to the fungus, and they're like, whatever, this thing's fucking weird. I'm not even dealing with this. So finally, I was like, I just have to do this because otherwise the players are gonna fucking die. So finally, I was like, you know what? Fungus Monster's finally just going to step up and summon the zombies and be like, come with me. And then I can pull literally all of these enemies off of you guys and throw you guys a huge fucking bone. Because, nobody wants to engage with the fungus.
You're right.
And
I mean, character-wise, maybe that makes sense, but I was thinking, like, Valravn needs to be there to fucking do the diplomat thing with the fungus monster.
Yeah, that's true.
That would solve half their problems.
Yeah, so then all you basically had, because Nildar was still essentially incapacitated, all you had to deal with was the Quaggoth. And my plan was always this was also tricky. My plan was to have the Grandalfa allies with whom you left back on the command level come in and help save you guys if a TPK did happen. Because my thought process was, okay, but TPK happened earlier, like sessions earlier, then that can happen. We can throw them in jail, and that would just change the dynamic. But if they die here, it's really weird because like the dragon's escaping, and there's this tension level up, and it just feels like it's like you reload your save. Like there's no good way out of this. So I thought, okay, if there literally is a TPK here, Grandalfa's allies can come in and basically bail them out. So I'm thinking, okay, this is the point where Grandalfa's allies can come bail them out.
Right.
But then Thimbleweed started taking the elevator, which is fine. But then I realized
I didn't expect him to do that though. I did not. That was a surprise to me.
But then I realized, oh shit, I can't just have Grandalfa's allies appear off, in the nick of time because he's taking the elevator down. So I have to fucking have, okay, you're going to stop at this level, and now you meet the allies who are going to come down and bail him out, and then that's going to come to you. So I had to, like, stagger it round around, and meanwhile, Celeste fucking dies, Frey is dying. I'm just like, oh, shit. The elevator's still coming down. Like, I'm trying. Yeah. And, I literally, like, it technically is not going nearly that fast. I think it takes, like, a minute, but I was like, fuck it. It's going to take, like, two, a round, and it appears there. Yeah. It's fast magic in combat land. So yeah, that was my plan, was to have those guys bail, which I guess was kind of fun because then Thimbleweed got to be part of that force that like came in. And
that was cool. That actually answers a question that I had at the end of the session. I was like, well, what was my question was like, when were they going to come in? And I guess the answer is earlier than that. But Thimbleweed got tied up in them.
Yeah, so it would have been had he not taken that elevator down. What I thought about doing initially was, okay, if you want to take the elevator down, you have to roll like a 1d3, and that's the level the elevator's on currently. And then you'd have to wait for it. But literally, I even said that during the session. Like, fuck it, you find the elevator, like, it's just narrative, cinematic magic.
You were giving us every possible bone you could give us, and that was one of them.
That was one of them.
Yeah, the elevator's there,
but,
it's fine.
But the problem with putting the elevator up there is that means it took that much longer for the reinforcements to reach the bottom, because otherwise, had it not been, had he not taken the elevator or whatever, then those reinforcements probably would have reached the throne room that much quicker.
Right.
But because I suddenly had to actually like legit follow it, and again, I made that elevator go lightning speed, but I still was like, all right, it's gonna have to at least take like a round for each one to get there. The mirror image fact. Okay, so mirror image.
Forget about it. I suspect you just forgot about it.
No, well, yes and no. I thought you had to actually connect with him to trigger mirror image, and you guys never actually hit because you rolled so bad against, I think it was the Dwarger, it never connected. But then I think I read it and it said anytime he's targeted with an attack, you have to roll a d20 to see if that attack actually even targets a mirror image.
I see.
And I'd forgotten about that. So I just eliminated that one. I was like, all right, well, let's just say all those attacks from the Dwarger eliminated the mirror image. That's fine. Because that would have been a really nasty threat if this dude had a mirror image up, you still couldn't hit him, and he was just going to town on everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I basically just took that out kind of in the background. Again, just helping you guys as much as I can, because I was like, holy shit, this is going tits up pretty quick. Having the Goliath join the fight, I absolutely was not going to have him join the fight. I was going to have him be like he's back there taking care of the Dwarger loyalists, and just, it's a good way of, which I think we like doing that generally. We like, keeping party NPCs like, yeah, they're doing something, but we're not actually going to make you like roll and stuff. They're just kind of montaging off the side. That was his goal. But then when fucking Celeste went down, Frey went down, I'm like, all right, the Goliath's going to enter the fight. Somebody can just control him because you guys need
attacking. Yeah.
You need the help.
Yep.
Yeah, he did get from the top floor to the bottom floor in like 18 seconds. Exactly. That's the magic of being in combat with shit going on.
That's I'm fine with that. That's
you have editing. To be a little loose. Yeah, movie editing. That's to be a little bit of loosey goosey.
It's like two characters are in the throne room having a fight, and there's one character who's like in the courtyard. He's like, I gotta go help him, and he runs off. And yeah, it's like a 10-minute walk from the courtyard to the throne room. But
he appears always in the nick of time.
Yeah, they're still so funny when he gets there.
I'm a big fan of the nick of time. Whatever's the most cinematically, narratively interesting. It's not cinematically or narratively interesting to have Thimbleweed wait in the fucking elevator for the entire rest of the session.
Right.
And having go down. Yeah, like you're still going down that elevator. Like that's fucking stupid. Don't do that if you're the DM running this. So yes, he was hurtling down that elevator in lightning speed.
Cable.
Got the cable.
Express. Yep, that's great.
I did not even think about them falling down the open shaft with the fog cloud. I thought that was really fun. And that was a good example of me. And you notice I probably paused there for a second when it was their turn. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have you. And that was me thinking like,
right idea.
Like I need to do this. And it's just funny and it's cool. And that was a bone I could throw them.
That was good. Yeah.
I mean, the Dwarger hammers like fall through there. I kind of played them up as being kind of stupid and mindless. I don't think they're actually technically supposed to be that dumb and mindless, but it was the way I chose to run them.
Yeah, mechanical, just sort of,
following orders.
Yep.
Man, there was a moment where Reese tried to attack Thantara and failed to move her.
Mm-hmm.
And was just attacking her. And on Thantara's turn, I tried to grapple Thimbleweed. Yeah. I swear to God, if she had been successful, I would have dropped his ass out of the building. I swear to fucking Asmodeus.
What was your logic there?
Because he kept trying to do that to other people and kept kicking their bodies out. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So she would absolutely just try to grab him and fucking yeeted him right out the building.
I mean, to be fair, Thantara, the character, didn't know that's what Thimbleweed was trying to do to her. But I get from a DM, like, vengeance perspective.
But, like, this is the threat. Like, he's awful. She knows what he's capable of. She's like, I just got to get him out of here. So if she's capable of grabbing him and throwing him out the window, then that's something she would try to do. So
which would have been interesting. I don't know how that would have worked.
I'm not sure either. I was just like in the moment, but I was like, fuck it. If I can, I'm going to grapple him. And if I'm successful with this, then she's going to walk over and just drop him out of the building.
Yeah.
And are there windows on the second level? I don't think there are. Oh yeah, there are.
How long he's falling? He's got something where his bugs move him, right? I don't. I think
that's true. We have to start looking at falling shit because it's literally like I think it's 100 foot down to the next level, and then it's another 100 foot down to the bottom.
Yeah, it's a long way.
It's a long way.
It happens in like half a round or half a turn. I mean,
yeah, I would have probably let him roll something like take some damage. The problem is if he takes any damage, he's probably donezo because he had like no hit points. But yeah. I probably would have let him roll like a acrobatics checks, try to grab onto like the ledge 100 feet down with like disadvantage. You know, have to give him some kind of way of like saving himself and having an express way down to the next level. But he misses that. He's falling all the way down and just splatting. That was before Celeste died, so I was still in the mood of like, I can throw one of you guys out there.
Let's see what happens.
Which I think he would just, because I don't even know. The only thing I could do is maybe have one of the allies from like the wagon, like Spellix or somebody, rush out there and try to stabilize him and just be like, well, you're stable, but you're basically out of the fight, so.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad, but I was like, I mean, no one can get to Celeste.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution there was. I don't know if there was a way we could have optimally played that to where everybody lived, or I don't know, but
I know it
requires healing, and you know, if you don't have easy access to healing,
I guess I should have had the Goliath stabilize her. Like I literally didn't even think to have him involved in, like, he was still like montage just fighting the Dwerger back there.
Yeah,
but she rolled at least one success, right? So it was like 4 rounds that she was down.
It was like 1 fail, 1 success, and then two fails.
Jeez. Sad way to go. Just slowly bleeding out.
That's right.
Yeah, other than just rushing over there, but I mean, you take so many attacks of opportunity, like, and I mean, Edmund's got no hit points. Frey was already unconscious at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just real fucking bad.
We asked for this a little bit. We did split the party with with more than half of our resources out the window, gone.
Yeah. It's something we talked about on crafting, where they were like, you know what? They just have to accept the consequences. They know where they're at with hit points in life. They know they split the party up. They know they're chasing Zardarok. You hinted at them that they're going after, Prince Nildar's in there and all this shit. Like, you don't, crafting's always like, don't pull your punches, like, accept them where they are. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's rough.
It's still rough.
But the thing that I don't pull is what's in public, which is the rolls. And the rolls were just fucking you guys up so bad.
They were bad. I wonder how this session would have gone had the rolls just been pretty much even. But they were not even. Like, they were just, those fucking Quaggas never rolled below a goddamn 20. Like,
yeah, they were hit every time.
80% of the time. They were. And
you guys missed a bunch. There was a point where Raymond was trying damn near everything to take down Zardarok. And literally, Ray, he didn't even have hit points at that point. He just had a successful attack is going to kill him. And you spent like 5 attacks trying to do anything to him. And I was like, fuck.
It was terrible.
Yeah. I wanted you to get the killing blow, but you rolled so bad on the 2 times. I was like, all right. And
was the turn where like 3 dwarves tried to kill him and nobody had
Well, I think
success?
Finally the last one did, which made it funny. He's like, you're the one that can do it. God.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no explanation. Or
just bad rolls.
I know you gave me advantage and you gave me this.
Yeah.
All the cinematics would have been cool, but didn't happen.
I mean, you guys were all at like 50% health or worse, and nobody had anything. Frey had 1 rage, which she was using. I think everybody else was adding. Edmund had 1 spell slot, which you were saving for another disguise self.
Right.
And I think Thimbleweed has a few first level spell slots, but he's pretty limited in what he can do.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys just had fucking nothing.
To answer your question, Jay, I do have Healing Word, but I didn't have any spell slots.
And B, you were there. Yeah. You had the most, I felt bad because I was like, what is he doing? He's just running back and forth in this fucking hallway. Like,
during this session, it reminded me of a story that you told me one time about Storm King's Thunder, where you were like locked in a room, but you were like, but I was just enjoying the story of what everybody else
other
was
people are doing. Yeah.
And I think I'll be honest with you, part of that is that I still have, I don't know from when I got this, but I still have like access to Heather's token.
Oh, so you could see?
I could see what was happening.
Okay.
So that was a lot of like I was at least being able to.
I thought at one point I was like, I wonder if I should put his token like in the corner just so he can see, but that's a good point.
Yeah. So at least I was able to, because my role in this session was pretty much bullshit. It was like just running down a hallway,
just keeping like one dude occupied, basically.
It started with 2.
That's true.
With 2, but then I brushed 1 off, and then it was just 1 guy. Which I never even got to deal with him because we were running late, and you just had him montaged at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, you get away from the dwarf, and I don't know.
I don't care anymore. I was like, at some point, Chris is there.
Yeah, at some point you're there. Yeah, exactly.
Which brings me to another point that you brought up. Raymond said something about can maybe the Myconid can heal, and I was like, the Myconid can heal, but the Myconid just fucking animates your ass as a plant zombie and thinks you're joining its like song or horde or something. If this was more of a Myconid scenario, I'd have this whole cool culture and cool voice and all this stuff, but there was so much going on. I was like, I could barely even.
I think it was good. It seemed like a very interesting.
I feel like I half-assed
very
it, but
sweet character that was oddly,
supposed to be very like alien in its thoughts and things, and I kind of half-assed it, but thank you. And when I kept thinking, there's no way the player's gonna let me do this, and I did it, and they're like, oh, and they're like, all right, and then it's gonna start marching its zombies and Celeste off to the Underdark, and I'm like, there's no way the player's gonna let me do this. Oh, I guess they are.
For that whole fucking time, I was really just holding my tongue because I'm like, Valrama's not there. Valrama's not.
They're just
there.
fucking stoned.
I cannot.
They're just staring at me, and I was like,
okay, bye.
You're just gonna let me march her off into the Underdark as this fucking plant zombie? They're like, that sounds great. That's.
I mean, that seems like something Edmund would do, and so I went along with it as well, thinking that like somebody's got to stop Edmund from.
I mean, I guess the phrase still I guess Thimbleweed was the only one that could have said something, but he's just stone faced over there. So I'm like, and then Chris is like, all right, when do I get there? Because I need to stop.
When do I fucking get there? Because I have things to say about what's happening right now.
Please, sir, can we have this body back? I was like, yeah,
oh, Lord.
Because otherwise,
honestly, Eric, outside the game, I don't know. I mean, maybe Celeste is dead, and Rochelle wants to roll into character, and we deal with it that way. But on the off chance that, or on the chance that she doesn't, maybe saving Celeste is a thing we can do.
Having her body's pretty important for that.
Yeah, exactly. If that's the case, then we need her body.
Yeah, Raven had no hesitation. That was fucking hilarious. I kind of expected that from Edmund, but Thimbleweed just kind of was like, okay. I thought that was insane. Yeah. So,
and Jay, my plan in terms of plan is just have my assumption is that having the corpse animated by mushrooms somehow like preserves it. So if we can find a priest who can raise the dead, then he could raise a zombified corpse.
Presumably.
See, I didn't know exactly how I was going to run, but I thought it'd be interesting if we had a zombie Celeste. And so,
which maybe,
she still plays Celeste.
But she was also marching away. She was like leaving.
Wow.
That's the thing. Yeah, she was like following. Mike was like basically controlling her, so just leading her off into the Underdark. So I was like, this is the swan song for this character. This is what's going to happen. Add that to your epilogue. Yeah, first ever player character death. Legit one, too. Not like, there was no fudging or anything. It was just up to the dice at that point.
Yep.
I feel like 4 rounds is enough of bleeding out to like, well, I guess this happened.
Yeah.
So there is a rule. Yeah, so I'm just going to have to discuss with her. I'll probably use the Discord party chat and be like, all right, here's your options.
You're right. Yes, exactly.
You can either continue to play as a spore servant of yourself, which does have rules. Not undead, fun fact. They are plant. Literally, they're like fungus plant creatures at that point.
Okay.
Where you actually... Oh, yeah, spore servant template, maybe?
So, is she pretty... Like, you're sticking with it. She's gone.
I mean, she died. She straight up died. There's no backpedaling on that.
Universe, death does have options.
Yes.
There are ways. And we did get... I mean, honestly, like Heather said at the end, that 1 crown pays for a raised dead. Like, more than a raised dead. Like, it is... Raised dead is expensive, but we just got a shit ton of...
You did get a shit ton of money, yeah. So, we have rules about that, which is... Yeah, if you look at our house rules, spellcasting services, raised dead costs 1,000 gold pieces.
Yeah,
now, the interesting thing is, do I play this like a video game or like a living, breathing world? In other words, is it like, okay, we go to the town, we go to the local priest, we slap down the money for raised dead, and Bob's your uncle. Or do I play it like, how many priests are there in Icewind Dale that can raise dead, and where would they be in the town, and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Which I mean,
probably not going to find one in Dugan's Hole, for example.
yeah,
but
that's what I was thinking. Like at
Yeah.
the very least, there's like 1 or 2 major towns in this place.
Yeah.
that ought to have it. Yeah.
Ooh, maybe I should make you go crawling back to that fucking frost druid.
Or I was gonna say maybe there is the only one. In Dugan.
Yeah, like she can do it, but
Town's gonna be the first one to be destroyed.
that's the other interesting thing is you guys are, yeah, you're gonna try to show up to the priest and there's this fucking like dragon burning down the town. You're like, oh shit. But yeah, you guys did get a shit ton of loot to be able to sell for that. So
I stopped looking at this template, Eric. It's not that bad. It's really not.
are you looking
that
at? Yeah.
bad.
So I'm gonna
her speed is reduced by 10 feet.
Again, I'm gonna share it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll share it with the class here. So when you turn into a Spore Servant, the Servant retains its armor class, hit points, hit dice, strength, dex, con, vulnerabilities, resistances, and immunities. You lose your saving throw, your skill bonuses, any special senses and traits. You lose any action that isn't multi-attack or a melee weapon attack that deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. So I guess you can't do her Sun Soul Strike.
No, she couldn't do her Sun Soul.
If it has an action or a melee weapon attack that deals similar type of damage, it loses the ability to deal damage of that type. Yeah. You become a plant. Is unaligned. Your speed is reduced by 10 feet, which, funny enough, still makes her fucking weirdly very fast.
It gives her like a 50-foot speed.
Yeah.
Still.
Her mental stats go to shit. Her intelligence becomes a 2, wisdom a 6, and charisma a 1, which for a monk is pretty bad because stuff scales off her wisdom.
Yeah.
She has blind sight of 30 feet and is blind beyond this radius, so literally only senses things up to 30 feet around her, and then it's gone after that.
That's probably the worst, actually. Yeah. Look at these, yeah.
You gain condition immunities, can't be blinded, charmed, frightened, or paralyzed. You lose all known languages, but you can respond to orders given to it by myconids using rapport spores. The idea is it basically transferred control to you.
Yeah.
And then you can make an arm strike. So, I mean, you are still a unit that... So the option is like, yeah, if you want, you can run this zombie...
Yeah.
This version of you as a zombie, which, depending on the steps you guys make, I don't know how many sessions that would last before, because I would be okay with you guys, I can go ahead and say that, with resurrecting her if that's the plan that everybody wants to stick to.
Mm-hmm.
It might not happen next session, is something I would warn about.
Oh, yeah, I mean, so I think what happens now is, you just have to talk to Rochelle. Like,
yeah,
are you okay with two or 3 or 4 sessions going by while you are a Spore Servant?
You have no language. You have no, as chat just said, you basically have no free will. You are essentially a zombie who is just following orders.
Yeah.
And you've got basically a bunch of reduced stats. You have blind. I mean, yeah, it's a whole thing. I'm about to make basically a separate character sheet that's like a Spore Servant version of Celeste.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because usually you'd have a dead body rolling around. This is actually a very unique situation where, hey, there was a fucking Myconid sovereign nearby who has the power to animate fucking corpses.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, had you guys actually killed those Spore Servants, you could have looted these jars for yourself and animated some dudes for yourself, but I stopped myself on giving you those. I was like, you know what, you didn't kill those Spore Servants, so fuck you guys. You don't get those jars.
We got more than enough. Which, by the way, as a note, you've got to understand that the next 45 minutes, hour of the next session is going to be dedicated to leveling up.
Oh yeah,
figuring out what we're doing with these items.
We're overdue for one of those.
Like we've got there's a lot of just housekeeping that's going to.
There's a lot of housekeeping for sure. Yeah, we're not going to get very far next session because leveling up always takes a while, which is fun. You guys deserve a level up. It's been a while. And then attuning to all these fucking magic items that were just given to you. Like I know it's kind of weird, but that's like basically all the loot of the dungeon was compressed into one. Yeah. Which there was a big part of this dungeon that you guys didn't see. Basically, that hallway that you guys initially went down for. I guess Raymond, probably you saw it more than anybody else. That hallway on the east side of the map that you initially had to go in the watchtower to, and then you ran away from. There were doors. One of them had like a trapped hallway with lightning that would blast you. And then on the right side, you actually entered a room that was the treasure vault, which required Zardarok's gauntlet to actually, had like a touchpad to unlock and open. And that's where all these rows of treasure chests were. But obviously I'm like, and we're not, we can just montage to get all this treasure at the end. But that was pretty much the only thing you missed. Otherwise you touched on basically everything in here. I
So
I sh-
what are
yeah.
out of curiosity? What are Rochelle's options? But
Oh,
I can
so
only
sorry.
see two of them.
So
Zombie, like be a zombie.
she can be the
until...
zombie of herself until ostensibly you guys are able to resurrect her by finding a priest and doing that, because I don't have any I don't think the myconid spores would stop that from happening. It's still,
Mhm.
you can still resurrect the body, I think. Or you roll a completely new character that you guys just find along the way. We've never
Yeah.
done that before, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
If she's in the mood, she can just roll up a new character and you guys find her, trap. Maybe another pod opens up and she's there. That's up to
Yeah.
her. Or technically she could play any of these NPCs and maybe turn one of them into a PC, which is kind of a weird way of taking like a pre-generated characters, which would be like that gnome who was disguised as a goblin, the actual goblin cook that you guys have, this Goliath. Like technically those are options.
Thorman. There's Thorman the Dwerger.
Yeah, you could sure. Want to be one of the Dwerger? So that would basically be the three options. You either play a spore servant of yourself, and ostensibly try to get to where you can be resurrected, and maybe you want to play one of the NPCs, in between. I don't know, or a new character.
Yeah.
At this point, those are basically your options.
Yeah, that's what I was
we do not have character death house rules. This is a first for us in, what did I say, 6 years of playing D&D, whatever it's been.
I mean, to be fair, in terms of what we as a group of friends want out of D&D, this is not what we're aiming for. Right? Like in general, we're not aiming for like, grindhouse, kill the players, roll new characters sort of style
I feel like D&D in general has gotten away from that. I know some people still play it that way, and I mean, there's still, it's a dice-based game, so shit's gonna happen. But I think older versions of the game almost played more roguelike, where people rolled characters all the time, and it was more about just a combat simulator and a dungeon crawl and all that. And then as the game has evolved and transformed a bit, I think we've gotten into a lot of like, oh no, I actually want to role play a character and tell their story,
and it has a story and
and it's really unsatisfying to have that story, end, to a random wolf or something, whatever it is. So yeah, I think, and death saves weren't a thing in previous editions of D&D. Like that's a new thing. So D&D even mechanically inserted ways of like, oh yeah, we want to keep characters alive for longer, and I respect it. So I've been wishy-washy on it before, where the big thing is I just don't like killing people just randomly, like a random encounter, this character died. Or, you always want to I think it's cool if it happens during a very climactic, and I think this was a climactic moment. This is a big boss fight.
Yes,
this is very challenging.
The throne room of the dwarven fortress.
Yeah. So my thing is, I think it's okay, but I think a lot of players would be okay with it if it's meaningful and happens during a memorable moment, and everybody's like, oh man, remember that time, and not just like, oh, my character just fell down a pit and died, in this random dungeon, or we got attacked by 3d6 goblins and I died in that fight. Like that's not very memorable. So, and
if she decides to go this route, it will be very memorable that we had a spore servant Celeste for a few sessions.
Yeah, which also very memorable, the fact that you died next to a fucking myconid sovereign and who can animate the body as a zombie.
Animated your corpse and you just shuffled around for a while until we raised you back.
Gives me a very interesting out.
Yep.
You know what I just realized? Not that it should stop us or anything, but if she rolls a new character, we need a new character art drawing.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is
true. I need to change all my shit. Yeah. But I'm open to it. Like that's totally, and really anytime if a player came to me and said like, man, my character's kind of running out of steam and I don't, can we engineer a way to make them go down so I can roll a new character? That could be a possibility too. You can always make that happen. But yeah, that's always, I think it's always, if it's meaningful, I think it's interesting. I played, this was years ago, but Dragon Age Origins, my second playthrough, I chose the ending where my character sacrificed themselves at the end. And it worked for the character. He's very much this like Captain America's type personality. We're just always eager to help others and sacrifice themselves. And, the epilogue was very nice and things. I was like, I'm fine with this. This was great. I think it worked out pretty well for that character.
Yep. You're right, Jason. As I read the chat, us streaming too, I think has an effect. I mean, like, Eric, you commissioned art. Like we got art for these characters. So that sort of like easy death, roll a new
You're not,
character thing.
in other words, you're not the only person that cares about that character. There are like
Right.
people that watch and care about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
So yeah,
it's a big deal, and it's pretty rare. So
I'll say that. I mean, it depends. It'll completely depend on what Rochelle decides to do. But
yeah,
Valravn in character would want to raise her back up.
Yeah.
Would want to keep a zombified Celeste around until he could find a way to raise.
I think that's a
her.
cute character arc for you because do what?
She's your drinking buddy.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got kind of this cute little relationship
That's
where,
right.
yeah. I think that would be. I made that Shaun of the Dead gag, but
he's taking this girl under his wing. He doesn't want to see her go go like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like the way it played out. That was just a nasty fucking fight where the dice were not with you guys, and it was already a very challenging fight going into it, and yeah, I would say the big cheat thing I did to help you guys was just pulling the trigger on the Myconid, pulling all the zombies back. Or I'm just like, if I don't do this, you're just gonna be wiped. Like you guys are fucking done.
Yep.
Even though nobody's really talking to this thing, it's just gonna have to happen.
You did a lot of other stuff that you were trying to help us, but the dice would not allow you to, like giving everybody all the dwarven helpers advantage because they were emboldened by. I was like, okay, Eric would never do this outside of this scenario because we're in trouble. But you're right. The Myconid thing was the big one in terms of just pulling 4 enemies just out of the fight. Like, all right, the Myconids are just gonna step away.
Which isn't clear in its stat block that it can even do that. But I was like, well, I'm just gonna make it so it can do that.
I mean, who controls them? Like, somebody's got to control them, right?
Yeah, I think the Myconid is supposed to do it through the rapport spores that it unleashes, but that creates like a weird psychic connection that anybody can use. So I just had the Myconid just has like master control, I think. Gosh, this is basically the big Sunblight one too. If you guys have any questions about Sunblight in general, like we have finally ended.
I got overshadowed by the big fight.
I know, it really did. Well, the shit that just happened. I thought this was a really fun dungeon. As I mentioned, this is the kind of the location that made me really glom onto this campaign and be like, oh, there's so much cool shit going on here, and I can really see us having a blast in this situation. And I love the way, especially that Raymond played this whole affair right up to the end where you're just role playing, just dynamite. I loved the exchange you did. Never broke character for a sweat. A character playing a character playing a character.
Yeah,
was fucking incredible.
Honestly, that shaped the entire dungeon, right? Because it would have gone completely different if we had gone in there as 3, non-dwarves, just looting and tearing or whatever.
Yeah, it ended up working really, really well that way, and it made it more exciting to run. Kind of similar to the Fane of the Night Serpent in Tomb of Annihilation, where it's like, this is a big dungeon, there's a lot going on, but you're not supposed to do like a room-to-room fight thing. It's just going to be a fucking disaster if you do that. So instead, you role play with it, you work the factions, you open stuff up, and then this one at least did have a big boss fight at the end.
Yeah. What's the monster you didn't use?
The monster I didn't use. The Umber Hulk. There's a lot going on in this dungeon. So there's an Umber Hulk here. This was like 2 weeks ago where I was talking about this. So as I mentioned, I think only Fran and Celeste actually saw the entrance to the throne room past this corridor. You know what I'll do? Turn off dynamic lighting. Welcome to the dungeon, motherfuckers.
There's a lot here, yeah.
Yeah. So, here, which everything's on the GM layer, so you can't see it, but I basically gated off this tunnel, which says to the Underdark, and then this entire left side bunch of little tunnels that has rust monsters in them, which is just bullshit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But what's happening is when you get to this area, there are like 4 Dwerger who are leading an Umber Hulk up from a captured Umber Hulk up from the Underdark. They've got like a fucking cloth bag over his head. And it's just one of those funny moments where, like, if the players meet them, they immediately release the Umber Hulk and turn invisible. They're like, well, fuck you, you can deal with Umber Hulk now. And I was like, that's funny and awesome, but the time you guys would have seen that would have been like Zardarok had already fled and like the place was on alert.
yeah.
Like it'd be really weird for them to still be doing that work. And I was like, God, they're already so low on hit points. Like this is just Umbrook's a lot of fun.
Unnecessary.
They're mean big creatures, but it's too much to throw at them.
Yeah.
So at one point I had Zardarok retreating and unleashing the Umber Hulk on you all. But I ixnayed that, just like, no, he's just going to retreat to the throne room. You can deal with the Myconid and the Quaggas and Nildar in there, and I'm just going to eliminate the Umber Hulk because it's just too much going on.
Yeah. That's a solid cut. Yeah, it's just like you're identifying what's core to the arc that you're telling, and then just like, all right, this is neat, but it's not a core piece of it. So
yeah, and other groups, maybe that's one of the first things you hit, and maybe your team is fully rested, and then the Umber Hulk's really cool. But for me, I was like, we definitely don't need to do this.
Yeah. Anything else here you just straight up didn't use?
I mentioned
the cells in the north. You use those?
Yeah, we use those. Yeah, the main thing was this area over here, which is the vault with all the chests. And then, like I said, you guys actually explored over there. There's a pair of hammerers guarding it. You wouldn't have been able to get in because you need Zardarok's gauntlet. There's a little trapped hallway. Had you guys tried to go in the forge this way, that's got the lightning blast that hit you. This barracks was full of Dwerger, but I had emptied them out into the forge, which is where the big fight erupted. I think that's pretty much it. You guys honestly hit every fucking... when you go down the elevator on the right side, if you ever jack with any of the suits of armor, they turn into animated armor and attack. And initially I thought, okay, maybe we'll just have the animated armor attack as a, like, hey, you entered the room. But again, it was that thing of, like, you guys are already low on things, and this is just another bullshit fight that's going to slow you down. So I ultimately ixnayed that one as well. I kept the Mimic, though. That was a fun little encounter for Afraid to deal with.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
what's this thing in the bottom right of the throne room? The green room.
That's supposed to be the Quaggath Den, and I turned it into one of those mushroom, like where they're cultivating all the mushroom stuff, because Nildar was doing that in the outpost.
Yeah.
And there's another 4 Quaggas in there, and I not quickly, but eventually realized during the crafting stream, they're like, you know what, there's going to be plenty of shit in this room. I'm just not even going to, that room's never going to open. It's not, there's nothing in there. Don't worry about that.
Right.
Yeah, you're never going to have to worry about all that shit.
Well, there is a lot going on here.
It's a lot. There's a bunch of giant lizards down here that are supposed to be like mounts for the Dwerger that they use in the Underdark. I was like, well, they can't use them outside in the Dale because they're fucking lizards. And there's no lizards. They're just in this pen in this stable. So it's like, I don't know what to do with them. It'd be cool to have them, like, I guess a couple of them walking around with. I feel like George Lucas. Wouldn't it be cool to have some of those giant lizards walking around in the background? But ultimately, again, there's just so much going on, and I was like, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of I to some degree I appreciate dungeons like this where you just have so many options,
exactly,
and you can kind of, as a DM, cultivate the parts
and you can change your plans on the fly as you go. So yeah, when the players make it to a certain point without fighting, they're like, all right, I can do these fights, and I can do that fight, and I can skip this one. Yeah, I love it. The fact they give you all this shit that you can deal with. It's
challenging as a DM because you got all these different aspects that you have to choose between and sort of shuffle around depending on the situation.
Having it on the same map did help because I didn't have to shift maps too much, but the initiative thing was a lot harder. You know, in the other session we had the 3-way split. It wasn't nearly as hard, I guess, because there wasn't that many enemies to switch between. But this time there were, like, you know, all the Dwerger you guys had to deal with them there, and then all the throne room enemies. So it was getting a little unwieldy having that one big initiative tracker, having to...
Oh, I only just now realized all 3 levels are on this one map.
Yeah,
Jesus. Okay. You'll wonder it's the 10-foot squares.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot how many maps. We'd done a couple of them that were 10 foot, and that's always annoying. Did you ever thought of using Nildar ally with Dearth? Really, that's Edmund's thought. If you ever tried to convince the brother to join your side, I had kind of thought you might try something like that.
I don't know why I went in so angry against him.
Righteous anger.
I don't remember, like, why I hated him, or I think I heard somewhere along the line that he was opposed to me or didn't agree with me or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we have different ideals, maybe?
But I mean, I was gonna adapt to whatever you threw at me. Honestly, at that point, like it's.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think they definitely weren't. They were competitive with each other. I will say that.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah,
Maybe I took it a little too far.
because they were both sent out to do objectives and they wanted to prove themselves.
hmm I think I might have thrown him under the bus to make myself more valid. I think
Yeah,
You were deep in character at that point, so yeah, it was just like I gotta seize power for myself sort of situation.
yeah,
well, kind of like how I came back and they were telling me about how he lost his fingers or something, and so I like
mm.
threw him under the bus. That stupid brother, and
yeah.
it's like I am better than him, so let me take over, sort of thing.
I think the
So
thing I contemplated about was like, all right, if you somehow say the best role playing stuff and we do a contested thing and you manage to convince Nildar to turn against his father, then I would probably allow that and maybe he at least isn't hostile to you, but then eventually turns on you. When Zardarok goes down, at least. Because he's like, oh, now I can be the new Zardarok.
true. So yeah, there's that competition, and then Frey might have rubbed off on me a little bit. She's got some of his fingers. There's no way I could like ally with him and still have Frey be friendly to you. Like she probably want to take his fingers as well or something.
Yeah,
Probably rubbed a
Yeah.
little on me like, all right, enemy, my
yeah.
enemies.
I mean, technically, we've already faced him before, so if he saw all the rest of us, I mean, I don't know how I'd react to that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess I missed that, didn't I? Having reacted to because yeah, you're right. He should have. I totally missed that. He should have absolutely reacted to Frey and Celeste, especially Frey. I meant to have him react to that and be really freaked out. Like that's the one that's so much. Yeah, that was just me having so much going on that
yeah, right.
I missed that. Had Heather said something, or maybe she didn't, I missed it. But I would have had Nildar specifically respond to that in a very satisfying, like
Right.
yeah, kind of way.
What would have happened with that? What do you call them? Brain drinker, whatever they're called. Had we given him the Christian, because I assume it's not going to happen at this point. We're leaving, so we're leaving that guy to sort of.
Yeah, I keep thinking, do I need to have like an epilogue with that, or do you guys want to ignore him? And it seems like I've tried several times, and all the times he's just shut down. So I'm like, I guess we can just forget about him. It's one of those things where DM's just constantly throwing darts to the players, seeing what sticks, and some stuff does, some stuff doesn't. Had you given the Psy Crystal to the Mind Flayer, it would have restored his powers, and he basically would have been a untrustworthy ally for you guys for the next couple sessions.
Yeah.
And possibly a necessary one, given how things went with you guys. And he basically would have told. I can't spoil this too much, but there is still a quest chain that I'm trying to give Celeste.
Okay.
Which is going to be more difficult now because she's a zombie.
Right.
Now I realize.
We'll see if that
and she kept refusing the mind players. So like, I don't know, maybe it's going to happen a lot later than I thought. I thought I was going to give it to her pretty quickly, but essentially I would have given her she would have traded it to gain the mind flayer as an ally and to gain information that leads to another quest that is from the book that I would like to run.
Yeah,
as kind of a specific quest arc for her.
Celeste's still around in a few sessions.
Correct.
Find a different way to get it to us. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. So, which there are other ways, but yeah, that was just a cool thing that I threw at you guys that you guys were like, kind of like the mic in it. It's like, I don't really deal with that.
Yeah, right. It was honestly, it just came down to it was a consent thing. Like the crystal was Celeste.
It's tough to get players to give up their magic stuff. It's interesting thing. And yeah, I don't blame anybody for not trusting a fucking Cthulhu looking ass mind flayer thing. Yeah. The Charlatan rules. I guess I could ask your feedback about that, and if you guys find those to be too debilitating or fair or what. But I will say that neither the crown nor the gauntlet are magic items. I created them to be as such because I thought that was a cool thing to do. But I've been having all the Charlatan stuff have those kind of interesting drawbacks where it's like, there's a little bit of they're kind of a cursed item in a lot of ways. So that's why I can kind of maybe give you guys more magic items than even you would normally get. But some of these are like essentially cursed magic items. that have some drawbacks.
Yeah.
But this was
I
an
mean-
example of, hey, you get the magic items that give the boss those abilities.
Right. Yes. Everything that he can do in the fight, now you can do
Yeah.
which is neat. I mean, Edmund's the only one that can really speak to it thus far, because I think he's the only one that's used Shardlin stuff up until now.
Yeah. Nailing those balls like
The bands are
3 or
working,
4 times in a row, yeah.
Mm.
Pretty effectively.
I assume now with we got what fucking 4 Shardlin items in the just now.
Yeah.
So we'll probably split those up a little bit, but
I'm interested to see how you guys start doing these magic items that I gave you. I just threw a bunch at you. Dude, what do you think about the mechanical arm? Because I worked hard on that.
It's like a Mega Man arm, sort of.
Hell yeah, the Samus Mega Man thing. Yeah, it turns into the thing. So basically, that is the lightning bolt spell. I just copied and pasted the lightning bolt spell and turned that into the arm cannon. But I added the thing that's okay, I want to create the effect of Samus having to charge the fucking cannon for a second, which is all right, you got to wait till the end of the round for it to go off, which means people could move around and it gets dicey. But I did mention the fact that you can aim when you fire it and not when you charge. So you can start charging and right before it goes off, then you can quickly change the aim if you need to. Yeah, but it's gonna go off in a straight line right down the.
I could move though, right? It's concentration, but I don't think I have to stand still.
Well, no, but not if it's the end of your turn. You're done. It's not your turn, so all you can do is aim. So you can charge and move on your turn, but at the end, you have to wait until the end of the round, and then it goes off. So I let you aim at the end of the round, but not move.
Now, it's not the end of it's not my next turn. It's the end of the round.
It's the end of the round. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I initially said initiative 0, but I was like, it's just easier, more mechanically. What I meant to say is at the end of the round, it goes off essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not something you usually have in D&D, so I hope this isn't too confusing, but the idea is I wanted to create an effect where you have to essentially hold your action and charge it, and then you can unleash it.
So I kind of want to roll low initiative in that case.
Right?
That's true.
Not much has changed.
That's true.
When you do
That's
it
a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. You're pretty low on there. It would go off pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I did have to limit it because it could be pretty packed. I mean, it's a 3rd level spell essentially, so it's all right, you get a couple limitations.
That's the thing I'm bummed about.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, though. I think Tasha's added this where instead of limiting with a number, it scales to your proficiency bonus. So that way, as you level up and gain a higher tier of proficiency, a lot of your items kind of level up with your abilities because you can use them more often.
Yeah. I'm curious, when do our proficiency bonuses go up to 4?
I
3
forget.
right now.
Yeah, I forget where the scale is. I think you guys just reached 3 recently.
I can tell you, I got 5e tools open always.
Every
9th level. It's 9th level, so it's a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just went up to 3 at 5th.
Yeah. Yeah, the arm, the crown, the gauntlet, all those the bracers of defense, 2 wands, and a cloak of elvenkind. Yeah, you guys will be passing that shit around.
How many of those things require attunement?
I think everything but the wands, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are gonna get full up.
Depending on what everybody, we'll talk about it next session, but
yeah.
I'm not bragging here, but I feel like I'm generally better with the one-off, one-use items because people tend to forget that they have those things.
Yeah. You're all about
I tend to use those things like first thing.
Yeah. You would be a good candidate for a lot of these items for sure. Just because your base attacks aren't good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But dude, you get that Shardlin Gauntlet, suddenly you have Eldritch Blast.
That is.
It uses your charisma.
Charisma based. That is, I saw that. I was like, that's interesting.
You just fucking took a level of Warlock or something.
That honestly, that eliminates the use of the crossbow ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't need.
All you have is this non-threatening man just has this giant, scary, black, jagged, clawed arm
that he uses to write with. That's his writing hand.
Great.
That is a good point, David. I didn't realize that because when I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's terrible." That the cloak burns up in sunlight, but it doesn't matter.
No sunlight right now.
There's no sunlight right
now. I did not realize it till just
correct.
now. I remember looking at that during the session, going okay, that's kind of useless then. But you're right. There's no sunlight right now.
Yeah, this is a unique situation where it's like, oh yeah, I can use this item in here.
Yeah. Yeah. You still gotta get the crown back from one of your minions. you were handing out magic items to dwarves.
That was funny. I shut that down because I was like, all right, that's a cute idea, but you have to attune to these items. Like, you can't just fucking throw that shit on and start going to town. Just start blasting away with it calmly.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is not me complaining, but I did have a negative thought during the session that I was like, near the end. I was like, all right, if the dragon's going to get out anyway, did anything that Thimbleweed and I do the last two sessions actually matter?
We talked about
all?
Yes, we talked about this. Yes,
Okay.
it did. I haven't worked out the exact timing because I didn't know what the timing was at, even of this session. I'm still a little bit trying to figure out what that is. But yes, essentially it is going to help you guys. My thought was like, it's not going to buy you 8 hours to rest. If you choose to rest, that's fine, but you'll wake up and the dragon's been long gone. Yeah. But it would buy you more time than you normally would. So I haven't determined I don't have a math sheet for that or any kind of specific, the actual dragon does have specific time nailed down to where it itemizes its flight path, but honestly those are guidelines.
Yeah, exactly. You're the DM. You could say when it's where. Yeah.
So I will say yes, it did matter because it also would have mattered had you guys just completely fucked up. Then it would just sailed out, and then it's gone when you guys are already discussing this, and you're like, "Fucking, we got to get going."
Yeah.
So yes, I haven't determined. I don't have a strict rule about. Okay, well, that's going to buy you this much time. I don't have that information, but yes, I did want to make sure it mattered.
Okay. That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Half my thought was the fact that we kind of fucked up and kind of both fled the scene by the time it was all over. At least Reese had the idea to sort of try to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Did another fog cloud, sort of like.
And I appreciate. He did as much as he could. He wanted to self-preservation while also slow everybody down, which I think did a good thing. I was hoping he would web something, but I realized in crafting this week that he is out of second level spell slots. But yes, I think he played it pretty well and called reinforcements up there, so they were able to rush up there, the other ones, because he even mentioned the fact that, hey, you should slow him down.
Right.
Although it's funny with that exchange, because the Dwarga didn't give a shit about the dragon in the situation. They're just like, whatever, it's gonna do its thing.
That was a very interesting scenario because they didn't give a shit about the dragon, and honestly, Thimbleweed didn't give a shit about them. So it wasn't like he was playing up to the Prince Dur thing at all. He was just
it wasn't. So yeah.
I was honestly slightly afraid of that moment. I was like, oh god, did Reese just get himself killed?
He was
by going I don't know who Prince Dur is. I don't know what you're talking about.
He was playing it pretty fast and reckless, I thought, but I was like, well, there's so much tension and craziness going on. The Dwarga is like, whatever, he's not hostile, so we're just gonna rush in here.
Yeah.
Had he been really stupid, I would have probably had to take him out, but everybody can get caught up in the moment at the moment.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, it will matter. I don't have exact information for you in regards to that, but you did effectively slow the dragon down. My goal was to get you guys, and I'm right with you. You guys need a long rest after all this happened. I want you guys to level up, and basically, depending on how much you slowed the dragon, that's how much damage this dragon is going to end up doing.
Right.
To 10 towns essentially. So that will be to be determined as you guys go forward. It's going to be a tricky situation for me to develop.
Our goal now, as I see it, is just hunt down a mechanical dragon that is set on burning down all of 10 towns.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a lot of interesting crunching, and like I said, thankfully, I'll do a lot of panic prep, because, when we're in the middle of a dungeon, it gets easier, right? Because it's like, okay, I can only prep in the dungeon, but when we're in the overworld, it's like, okay, all this different shit can happen.
Yeah, suddenly all these things open up.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, as we mentioned, you guys are going to spend a lot of time next session leveling up. Yes. I guess we let Celeste level up. She has a stat block with a Spore Servant, so.
Yeah, right.
And passing out all these magic items, and then traveling up there, and we'll see how far we get and what the destruction looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was officially chapter 3 of the book, by the way.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah,
What else? What else is part of chapter 3?
that's it. Just Sunblight.
Oh, no, okay.
It's a big ass area, as you can see.
Yeah, it is.
Now the weird thing is, we'll still be touching on chapter 2, which is just open world. Basically, all the open world content is chapter 2.
Wow.
So I'll still, like Korkaloke was one of those things I pulled, and then there's other stuff I'll be pulling for later in the adventure. But this essentially ends like, if I'm dividing this campaign into 3 acts. We're basically at the, I guess you consider the dragon, I guess, is the finale of Act 1, but
Okay.
basically
Yeah.
reach that point. You guys are now going to be level 6, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, anything else about this session or Sunblight in general? It is so late.
Yeah, it is.
I get so jazzed for D&D that every time it's like 30 minutes before showtime and I'm tired and I'm crabby with dealing with the baby and I was like, D&D. And then like 10 minutes into D&D, I'm like, yes.
A minute. Let's
Yeah.
go.
And now it's like fucking 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, let's do this.
Yeah. Is David right? Did we spend 6 episodes here? How long did we spend here? Just out of curiosity.
I can tell you. Got a cough. Excuse me,
That's
God.
how many episodes.
Session 28 was our first session of Sunblight. So 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. This was 33, so that is correct.
Wow, all right.
6.
That was a hell of a dungeon then. We were like really in here.
Yeah. You sure were.
6 sessions and what, 2.5 months because of the holiday.
Yeah, that's true. And even longer because we had to take 2 weeks off because of the holidays, which
Yeah.
just fell. The holidays fell on Fridays for us this year.
Yeah.
Or last year, I guess. Indeed. And you guys hadn't even so much as short rested since session 29, by the way. I itemized that.
We were
all the
hard up
stats.
on this one.
Holy shit. It was, yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, you guys had chances to short rest, but it didn't fucking matter because nobody had any hit dice. The only thing it would have done is give Celeste some key points, but otherwise, like, even short rest wouldn't have done much.
Mm-hmm.
Literally hadn't short rested since session 29, which is pretty crazy. Which, again, is why I'm like, fuck, you guys need as much help as you can get, because I dragged you through the fucking goals through the line. I don't think I've ever seen a party this low on everything by the time we reach the end of this dungeon.
Out of everything, just scraping by.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, 5 in general lasted since session 24. Which is pretty. We're still ahead of the curve on Tomb of Annihilation. Tomb of Annihilation.
Are we?
Yeah, you guys didn't hit level 5 until like, I don't have that window open, but it was like session 40 or something crazy.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah, we're ahead of it. All right.
I'm very excited to see what happens to the dragon. I'm very excited to see what Rochelle chooses to do with her character.
Yep.
So
I'll probably send a message out tomorrow about like just to the party wide, like, all right, here's options.
Yep.
Going forward, because that is new ground to tread for us.
It is totally a new situation.
All right, I think that will do it for this week's Frostside chat. Thank you so much to Chris and Raymond. I'm Eric. Thank you to all the wonderful fans for watching. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.